Hi, I'm Mike Meiler, the sports editor here at the Niagara Gazette, and sitting with me is Winston Wilcox, our new-ish high school sports reporter, enjoying his first year in Western New York.
Yeah, I am. It looks like the weather's starting to change a little bit, so the second winter season is officially starting to wrap up, so hopefully the weather will start to reflect that.
You get warm enough soon enough, hopefully. Speaking of weather, obviously winter was closing, and with that we have to start naming our boys basketball and girls basketball and all winter sports players of the year before we can get spring going officially. So with that, we'll start right at the top. Who is our boys basketball player of the year?
Boys basketball player of the year, I think it'd be hard to get around this, is Trevor Book. He had a fantastic year. He broke several records. I don't have them written down in front of me, but he just was a phenomenal all-around player for North Tonawanda. Helped bring them back to Buff State this year. Not many people gave them that chance, and he kind of was the man, with the plan to make it all happen. And, he had a solid surrounding team to help him get there, because teams throughout the season, both in the NFL and off non-conference, that's what I was looking for, and non-conference teams, obviously keyed in on him because he's been a fantastic player. His 3 years, he played 3 years of varsity basketball. So, he obviously didn't do it alone, but he was a very, phenomenal player, fun to watch, and, kind of really carried that team. And I think he was, if you ask any of the NFL coaches, they would agree that he was probably a unanimous decision for Player of the Year for boys basketball.
Yeah, and of course he led the Lumberjacks to this Section 6 title last season. Couple losses from that team. You knew teams would be keying on him even more this year, and he stepped up. I don't think there's one instance of him not, rising to that occasion.
Absolutely.
So the girls' decision was a little bit tougher than the boys, right?
Yeah, we had, there were quite a few girls that we had options of choosing. We didn't get a chance to get to see all of the teams play, so we would have liked to have a little bit more of a kind of a background to help us make that decision. But I think the decision that we chose was pretty solid, and we chose Riley Crum from Lewiston Porter as our girls' player of the year.
And Newport was, if you didn't follow them all season, the expectations weren't exactly high. They just had a lot of new girls who hadn't played basketball even, right?
Yeah, I remember when I talked to Kevin Morzewski, the Newport girls coach. He mentioned that this season was going to be a rebuild season in terms of trying to get the players comfortable playing with each other, get them playing basketball, and get them playing well just on the court and understanding the game a little bit better. And it was funny, he said that the team kind of came together once he got a true point guard, and it was a sophomore call up on the JV team. Claire Skoronsky, she came in to the program as a true point guard, and and it was about in December when he made that decision to bring her up, and that's about when their season changed.
Winston, what did Riley do for getting Newport to a level where not only were they a competitive team, they were one of the better Class A teams in Western New York? Right.
Well, Riley again had a very similar role that Trevor Book had on his team, where she was kind of the player to watch. I mean, she drives the basket really well, finishes really well. I remember watching her in the Pioneer game, and she kind of really just took control in that game. And throughout the season, I like to think that teams really keyed in on her, which means that Riley, she's not a true point guard player, so she was kind of playing the point forward role, and that necessarily wasn't her role on the team. And that in terms of making her, utilizing her to the best of her skill set. The best of her skill set is working her kind of inside, outside the lane, kind of a stretch player, a stretch forward. And so when they got Skoronsky out as a point guard, that kind of helped put Riley down inside where she's more useful. And I think that's where kind of the season kind of picked up, where Riley was able to play more of the role that she's comfortable with.
Okay. Let's move on to a couple of the other winter sports. We had two state champion wrestlers, right? Willie McDougald from Niagara Falls and Anthony Robinson from Star Point. Anthony, obviously a big football player around here, bigger wrestler apparently. How did we decide to handle that player of the year wise?
I think it was pretty simple in terms of choosing the two guys that excelled really well at states. We had a lot of players from Wheatfield that were very, very strong candidates. We had the McDougalds, Warren and Justin, were phenomenal wrestlers throughout the entire season up through sectionals. Jake DeWolf had a phenomenal season as well as what's another player? I can't think of his name. Tebow, yes.
Josh.
He again, another kid. I think Wheatfield took 5 or 6 players.
I believe Wheatfield sent 5 to states.
Yeah, so that was just a fantastic season for them, and a lot of those guys are younger. So they definitely have an established program for the future, I would like to think. And then for Willie, for Niagara Falls, I mean, it was pretty clear in terms of, you know, he's the first state champion for wrestling in Niagara Falls. Is that correct?
I believe that is what we've been told, at least, that he's the first state champion from Niagara Falls since the schools merged in 2001. So that's obviously a huge accomplishment, and he's just a sophomore. He's just a sophomore
because he's a football player as well. I remember watching him; he's running back, so you know that. I guess, you know, it's kind of a lot of a transition between wrestling and football, because our two state champions in our area are both football running backs. So.
All right, Niagara Falls. Willie's not the only big, you know, historic Niagara Falls athlete this winter. Joey Mombrea, swimming, was the first Niagara Falls swimmer to make states in a while, at least.
I'm not too sure about that. I remember hearing and you saying that, you know, he had done really well and that he had a historical season. So it was definitely a very easy candidate for in that aspect. Because I mean, we like to definitely go for those players that, you know, really do stand out and bring a lot to their programs. And Joey Mombrea, I mean, he's kind of one you can't escape from.
And then bowling, we actually have a couple here. We've already run our bowling player of the year, so you've probably seen him right here. We have Mackenzie Gilmore, girls bowler of the year from Niagara Falls, and then also Nathan Papiernik. I apologize if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Nathan, sorry. So that's a pretty big winter for Niagara Falls High School, huh?
Yeah, Niagara Falls. They could have gotten. They could have even got close to doing almost a clean sweep with basketball as well, because they had a lot of young players on both the boys and girls team respectively that were fantastic throughout the year. So I would definitely like to think that they will make their names into the candidate pool for next year as well. But Niagara Falls definitely had a solid winter season, in my opinion.
Cool. Well, with that, hopefully we'll start to close the book on winter and the winter season, and hopefully we'll find a way to do this again shortly. So, thanks, guys.